Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing very well today. Welcome to a new educational trading video on how to trade using order flow and volume analysis. This is a tool, it is provided by a few vendors. I will be providing links for them below. Specifically, I'll be using tensor charts from tensorcharts.com to be showing you what is possible with this powerful tool. Generally, you see most of the crypto traders using only TradingView and using basically the volume indicator on TradingView, which does not give you data of how much buying and selling is going on in each candle. And also, there is no order flow data which is recorded by TradingView, which means that the bids and the asks in the order book are not neither visual or available in terms of any other information. And I feel that this is an edge that every trader must use. And I'm going to show you in this video a strategy that I use all the time. The strategy is using a couple of concepts which are important: delta divergence and volume imbalance. You can read exactly what they are, and what we are trying to do using these tools is to be able to use the order book and the footprint on the chart to track the bigger players. And you want to use this in confluence with your support and resistance levels, so that you are basically able to add to the confluence and have a more confidence in the trade that you take. So rather than explaining on, let's dive into the examples and try to understand how we're going to use this strategy. So here we're looking at the 1 hour chart on tensorcharts.com, and what you want to do is come down right here into this section where you have your heat maps, and we are interested in the volume studies. I'm going to switch on the volume imbalance and the delta divergence here. Volume imbalance percentage, you will have to play around with it, but basically keep it so that there is enough of a sample size that you can use it. And for different time frames, it does appear that a different percentage of volume imbalance is useful. So for the 1 hour time frame, I have found 300% to be pretty decent. And just to view this properly, I'm going to shift the opacity of the trade heat map so that you can actually view the volume imbalance when you switch it on and off. So here you can see these arrows are what are signifying a delta divergence. And like I said before, and I showed it to you, a delta divergence is basically talking about when price is moving to new highs in a session or in a day. And what is happening is that in the order flow, it is opposing this movement in price, so it creates a divergence. So if price is moving up, there is a larger amount of sell volume on this move up, and there is a larger amount of sell pressure, so it is signifying this divergence. And you can see on the tensor charts, until the candle closes, it's important to note that until the candle closes, you must not act on this indicator, because only once the next candle is going to start to print will this arrow be fixed. So it can appear, and until the candle is closed, it can disappear as well. So you need to wait for the next candle close. But you can see the delta divergence, how well it's able to track and catch these different pivot points for this specific time frame. But the only thing is that sometimes when we do have a stronger trend, you do end up getting false signals. Like you can see, there is a false signal here. There is another one. Essentially, price is still going down. We are in a downtrend, and price is giving a delta divergence a bit earlier. So that is the reason we need confluence. We need confluence of more than just one singular indicator to be able to use this. So let's look at what happens and how we're able to use it. Another thing apart from the delta divergence and the volume imbalance I want to use is this large trades tracker. So this large trades tracker, I've set it to about 50, anywhere close to 50 is good enough. And this is basically showing where the big money is trying to get in or get out. So this is the third thing that I like to use in Confluence with all of this. So you can see what we are looking at here and what we actually want to see. So we have a delta divergence signal over here, and what you can see is that after we've had the delta divergence signal, we have a volume imbalance signal as well. It's a red colored volume imbalance, so that's a sell volume imbalance, which means that in the order book at this specific price there was a large quantity of sellers. We've set the quantity to 300%, so there was 300% more sellers than buyers in the order book at this price point. So we had a divergence, we had a lot of sell pressure, and then once price did move down, you can see in the large trades tracker we did end up having a lot of big sells over here. So these are the three things that you actually want to be aligning. You have a sell divergence, you have a sell volume imbalance, and then you have big sells that are coming along with it. So you can either wait for a retrace and then be able to short again and essentially catch a trend. Or another thing that we are looking at is that there is a liquidity grab. So it's a clear liquidity grab above this, and this is if you've watched my video on ranges, this is the top of a range. This is the top of the current Bitcoin range. So that's another confluence that we do have a stop run on the edge of the range, and then we do end up getting a delta divergence. We get our volume imbalance, and all the big money is starting to sell. So you can see, let's try and look at something on the buy side. So here on the buy side, this is a previous example, and we did something pretty similar. So you can see there's a couple of delta divergences here, and they did not truly manifest, because what you can see is you had a delta divergence, but you had sell volume imbalance over here. And what you want to see is you want to see the buy volume imbalance, and then you want to see the big buys coming in. And essentially you did not have that, and you want possibly also a liquidity grab along with it, some kind of a stop run. And you had a stop run over here, but again you did have a buy volume imbalance, not so many big buys, but you could have taken the signal because there's a delta divergence, there is a buy volume imbalance, there is a liquidity grab. And if you are managing your risk well enough, it is possible that you would have gotten stopped out at break even on this kind of a trade. But I do tell you, you have to do this in Confluence with support and resistance levels, and be able to map out these major support resistance levels. In terms of what we were looking at in our range play, somewhere around 7200 was where there is the middle of the range. So this was a decent trade to take, and you would have gotten stopped out. And the second time, so you had a delta divergence that did not give you a strong signal, a delta divergence that give you a bit of a stronger signal. You see that there's no big buys coming in. So, it's not completely supporting what you want to be looking at. And the third time, you have also a lot of liquidity below, you can see. So this is another confluence in your order flow. You can see that, yes, there is big liquidity below. You can see that this is quite different from these different parts over here, there's not so much liquidity, and you can see through the color of the candles, the color of these levels, that there is stronger liquidity right below this. So we've had a stop run, you have a delta divergence, you have a volume imbalance, and basically this is around where the support level is. So you reclaim that support, and this is essentially where I did long already, and I was looking to long to the top of the range. The top of the range was, for me, was somewhere close to this 7600 7650 level. So I was able to take profit at the top, and essentially what we did get is another stop run of this level. But this is exactly what you want to be looking for. So you're looking at simple support and resistances, you're looking at this delta divergence, and it is adding to your confluence, and you're being able to also see very clearly, where the big money is wanting to support price and where these kind of signals fail. Let's look at something a little bit from the past, and you can see, let's look at where we had a failed delta divergence signal. So you had a delta divergence, there was no volume imbalance, and there was still a lot of big buying going on. So you basically not wanting to take this signal for a swing play, and you had a double delta divergence again, no volume imbalance, and still it was a mix between buyers and sellers. You could see there was still quite a bit of liquidity below, and basically price was being supported. And the third time you got the delta divergence, look at it right here, beautiful. You have a volume imbalance and another volume imbalance, another stop run, and basically this is also a 3 drives pattern, so essentially you have confluence again, and this point basically it built the top of our range. This was actually the level which was the top of our range. So price was stretched, you had delta divergence, you had volume imbalance, and you were at the top of the range ready to break back below. So all of this adds to your confluence and makes you really confident about how it is you want to deal with the trade. So yes, you do have support and resistance levels. You're using TradingView to do all your other charting, but order flow analysis, like I'm showing you right now, it can really add to your confluence and really make you confident in the trades that you want to take, because you want to follow the big money, guys. You want to be able to see and understand how to watch and how to look for where the big money is. The big money is in these large trades. The big money is the one that cannot hide when they're creating these imbalances, when they're pushing price, and when they're wanting to push price from one range to another, from one place to another. And order flow tools like Tensor charts are able to do this for you. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. This is very effective, and try to subscribe. Please use my reference link if you did enjoy this video, and I'm gonna be back with more education and more great ideas on how to use tensor charts. We'll look at open interest and how to be able to use a few other metrics which are outside of TradingView to be able to trade. Cheers, guys, and I'm gonna see you again soon. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and go ahead and share it with someone else. And if you have any questions about what we covered today, please leave them in the comments and I will be sure to get back to you or answer them in my next video. For more trading content and education, go ahead and click on the video on your right. Thanks for watching, guys, and cheers!